Hello and a very warm welcome to Binary Arcadia. Today we're going to be doing something which I did not think we would be doing for quite some time, but with the revelations from Kojima in the last few days about a director's cut and a new trailer for Death Stranding, we are going to be talking all things Death Stranding. As always, it'll be me and my good friend Tabs.
Hello, greetings BArcadians. Yeah, we're resurrecting our obsession with Death Stranding. Any old fans of the channel will know that we went pretty intense, didn't we, Rich, with the original run up to the first game. And yeah, plenty to talk about. It's a short little trailer, but I think plenty to get our teeth into, plenty of interest as well, especially for MGS fans.
I absolutely agree. I think there's some things in here that leave a lot to be puzzled about, given that they weren't at all in the first game. So that's going to be interesting to talk about that. But I think what we'll do first is we'll just watch through the trailer all together. Then we'll give the trailer another watch and we will just pause the trailer, talk about some things, talk about bits of interest, maybe try and fat out some of those with some theories that we've got. And then we'll go from there.
Do it, mate. Let's head on in.
Right,
down the rabbit hole.
Let's get this trailer up. Here we go.
Mature. Partial nudity. I don't remember. So interesting, isn't it? First of all, mate, we heard about Kojima perhaps having a bit of a crosswords with PlayStation and maybe jumping ship to Xbox. Well, this doesn't, add up to that, does it really?
No, we'll come back to it on the second view through, but it was interesting that this is done as a PlayStation Studios trailer and not a Kojima Productions trailer, so that's interesting.
Whether that's because they're funding it directly.
Possibly.
I mean, massive MGS vibes, right? That looks like a level on an MGS game.
And the music as well.
Yeah, I've got it on mute, but I know what you're saying. I remember seeing it originally. Big question mark on what this kind of, the stalagmites are, whatever you call them at the ceiling there.
And then this obviously is the ultimate, hark back to MGS, isn't it?
Absolutely. Loved it as a nod. It felt a little bit too, risque almost. Could Konami have some legal ground here to say, hang on.
Agreed.
Lovely rendered oranges there. Yeah, so my first instincts were, mate, before obviously it was announced it's a director's cut, I thought this has to be an expansion, or perhaps even a sequel, but an expansion, DLC content. But then we hear it's a director's cut, that makes me think it's something slightly different, which we'll come back to. I don't know about you, mate. Do you have similar feelings?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my initial thought was, he's announcing something new here. Especially if they were before we go. Because I think Kojima had his spiel and then he said, just before you go, I've got this for you. And then they played this trailer. So, yeah, I wondered what we were seeing here. And especially as it looks so different to what we saw of Death Stranding. So, yeah. And then obviously we got at the very end, director's cut.
Which I'm really pleased with, I think this is perhaps Kojima's... This is perhaps Kojima's, attempt to take a bit more time over it, to fat it out a bit, and I'm sure there was a rush at the end, I'm sure there was a deadline to meet, and I'm sure there were compromises made, and this gives him the chance to perhaps, retread it and really just polish it up a little bit more. We know that he was working on a project that got cancelled, don't we? Because he's come out and said that. So seemingly PlayStation have then had a chat with him and asked him to put a bit more time into Death Stranding.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of thought because it sounds like it's been quite difficult over where Kojima lives to get out and about and to be as like active in terms of creation of computer games. And it's made me thought, actually, maybe rather than, because he can't get on with projects like he wants to, maybe he's decided, actually, I think there's a bit more I can do with Death Stranding. So it's possibly a mixture of a few things. So,
and it says there, of course, PS5. So I'm guessing it's got to be coming to PS4 as well, because we know that Sony have kind of pivoted towards that, probably because of the semiconductor shortage. But you'd imagine there's going to be some PS5 bells and whistles, maybe some light ray tracing in there, 60 frames per second, or more maybe, and 4K resolution as well.
Yeah, I think 4K is definite, because did not get a 4K buff when it was on a PS4
PC.
Pro? Oh no, PC. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm not sure on PS4 Pro. There may have been some of this checkerboard, as they call it, methodology used to up the resolution. Of course, it was DLSS, wasn't it, on the PC as well, which
of course
was sung. The
which
praises were
all
sung.
about.
Of course, yeah. But I don't know if they can implement that on the PS5, can they? Because it's AMD. I don't know if they've got that sort of compatibility with DLSS technology yet.
I don't know. Right, so let's now we'll dive a little deeper into this now. So we'll give this another watch, and we'll pause this when we think something of noteworthy is to be spoken about. And obviously, shout up if you want to pause, Taps.
Yeah, no, I'll be led by you, mate. Just leave me in with when you click and play.
I certainly will do. Right, so I'm back at 0-0, so we're going to go play now.
We're live. We joke, channel, because we always say, and we're live before every time we film.
So I think the partial nudity on this M rating, Tabs, is because you can actually see, in the proper game, you could actually see Sam partially naked, couldn't you? Like when he was showering, when he was taking a piss. So I'm guessing that's why it's partial nudity.
So, mate, do you want to pause there to talk about what we think this kind of... I mean, it reminds me of The Last of Us, the sort of spores and fungi of The Last of Us.
Have you've gone a bit further? I'm at 12 seconds.
Oh, sorry, mate.
No worries.
Why? What are you seeing at 12 seconds that's of interest? This door?
Yeah, this door, which is interesting. There's almost like a red logo, which suggests that it is something. What are we seeing there? Do we remember seeing doors like this in the game? I mean, this in the background almost looks like a warehouse or something. There's like almost looks like cupboards open. So is this a new area that's been undiscovered, like a new area of the map maybe, or is this inside one of the delivery centres maybe?
Yeah, I think that's my theory. Because we know it's a director's cut, I feel like this is going to be like an extra, again, excuse the pun, strand of gameplay that he's basically like retrofitting into the original experience.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be like a section at the end of the game, or a section at the beginning, or a section halfway through in isolation. I almost feel like it's going to be somehow spliced into, as a consistent part of the gameplay. Yeah, throughout the experience. Yeah,
like almost like additional areas that you can go and get more information or items or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. I think the way it's designed, where you had these different missions and objectives, a lot of them were essentially optional, weren't they?
Absolutely.
It's the perfect way to kind of splice that in. And I think from what we're seeing, and obviously we can explore this as we push through the trailer, but it's a big nod to MGF, isn't it? So it's almost like Kojima is saying, listen, I heard what some of you said about the gameplay, about it not quite hitting that sweet spot that MGS did, that he's famous for. And maybe PlayStation themselves kind of forced his hand a little and said, Kojima, come on, appease the fans here. Give them what they want. So it feels like it's really going to home in on that MGS experience in the shoes of Sam, of course.
Absolutely. And it was actually interesting to hear Kojima say in his interview with Jeff Keighley that he depicted a world in which everyone it was like a broken society, and we'd gone through this massive change. And then he said he felt almost, and he didn't use these words, but he said he almost felt bad that it's come to fruition so quickly, his ideas or about what the future might be. And he said he thinks he needs to sort of think more carefully about the way he goes about game design and thoughts in games because of something like this actually happening.
Yeah, I watched that. I found it hard to get my head around what he was actually talking about, to be honest. Because he was talking about how he approaches games and games development. And, you know, I didn't know whether he was trying to say, again, almost nodding to the fact that, you know, I want to deliver something to my fans who are in this extreme, difficult environment, which obviously he's kind of almost been, you know, predicted. It's difficult to say. As ever, he speaks in riddles.
Absolutely. Right, let's press play again, Tabs.
RDY on the door, though. I mean, I don't know what that stands
Could
for.
just mean ready.
Yeah.
So straight up, I'm going to pause it as soon as the camera pans around. I'm going to pause it here. So pause for 24 seconds. Now, straight away, he's gone into this room, and there is, I mean, they are very reminiscent of the spores that we do see in The Last of Us. I really think they look very similar. The models of them even look very similar.
Yeah, 100%. Is it another manifestation of Timefall in some sense? And this underground environment could very well be. And then
Possibly.
obviously they can use that to somehow inform the gameplay a bit. You know, I presume it has some sort of an effect.
Or could it just be that this area that we're moving into has been like sealed off from the world for years, 50 years, and obviously, you know, that these people who are in here have unearthed it, gone in there to find what was in there or whatever, and then our mission is now to find out what they're up to.
Yeah, it could very well be. It could just be there to add some atmosphere, you know, and some age, as you say. Certainly beautiful.
Definitely.
Beautifully rendered.
Let's push on this, so I've unpaused. I mean, it looks good. As always, we know Death Stranding looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting. Now, if I just pause it as the camera pans round here, this is a classic MGS thing, isn't it? So they show you like the arena that you're about to be playing in. They show you sort of enemies, the patterns of enemies, and then sort of the environment in which you're going to be, you know, moving around in.
100%, mate. You know, ducks. You see enemies, as you say, patrolling in patterns. You've got these kind of like walkway routes, obstructions. We've got shelving there again to perhaps give you some interactive qualities. Essentially, it's suggesting that is a stealth, you know, A to B, isn't it? That is a little stealth route A to B that Sam's going to have to get past, get through without being spotted. You know, absolutely could have been torn out of an MGS game.
100%. And I guess the other thing to comment here is, what are these things that we're seeing on the ground here? I mean, to my mind, they look like coffins. I know they're very deep, but they sort of look like coffins to me.
They do as well, don't they? They look like, people being stored almost cryogenically or something like that. Yeah,
I mean, they almost look like there's ice on them almost, you would say. I mean,
and the shape isn't that far away from the BB pod shape, is it, in terms of the... So
yeah, that's interesting. Could they be adult BBs?
Yeah, because we know, don't we, that that's how they, you know, it's not telekinesis, but telepathically they have that connection, don't they, to their mothers. Yeah.
Let's just carry on here. I mean, just absolutely classic MGS, you know, enemies patrolling, looking round. I mean, I'll just pause it there for a moment. I mean, the top-down view of these, I mean, they just look like they're the perfect shape for a human body to be in.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
You know, they look like sarcophaguses, don't they?
Yeah.
That's how I would describe them.
Is this suggesting then it's the invasion of this centre where they store them all? You know, is Sam going to try and put right this almost... It's monstrous, isn't it, some ways, the whole BB technology and the way they work.
100%.
It's very off-putting.
Press on again.
Press on.
And then obviously we see a shot here, and I'll just pause it there, of these guys, and you know, we saw these in the original game, didn't we?
Yeah, what do you think to the design, mate? I mean, they seem almost like Predator-like to me.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I thought that in the original game, and they look cool. I mean, they've obviously got, significant weapon and armor, you're not just going to be shooting them down, which I think suggests even more that you're going to have to stealth through them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Press on again.
Indeed, and we can see gold, of course, on the rich. We know that's
absolutely
important in the world of Death Stranding.
And then we're back to Sam, who's like sort of scoped out the room at that point, hasn't he? I mean, this is interesting. What do you make of this? The rat. I don't really get this.
I think it's just again another nod to MGS because it's a duct. It's ventilation ducts, and of course we know Solid Snake frequents them on a regular basis as part of his mission. So it felt like that. Whether there's some wider reference there to MGS could very well be. It's beyond my ken. But yeah, I think it was almost suggesting, another stealth route, and all in keeping with, what we're saying about placating the fans out there, what we want to see.
We'll move on again. And then we see this, like, I would say almost bizarre scenario where he grabs this big box. For whatever reason, he sees this box and wants to jump in it. It's a bizarre piece of video, really.
Yeah. But we know Kojima is not immune to that, is he? I mean, we saw with the scenes with Sam, when you kind of... was it like a home base in Death Stranding, mate? I forget what they were called now, but it was all very strange, wasn't it? He'd spike the lens, he'd almost communicate with the player, with the gamer. It was all very strange, and I don't think Kojima... He doesn't let him stop his creative whims, does it? The logic.
We see him jump in. I'll just pause it there. He's jumped into the box and just hiding in the box for literally no reason.
Yeah, if it fits, I sits. Is what came to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, such a bizarre, little piece of... I mean, I get why he's done it. It's almost like, Sam, get back in your box. I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? Is there some more meaning behind this that we're not seeing here?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Some metaphors going on.
We'll carry on here. And then he just sits in the box for a moment and then jumps out again and puts the box back. Interestingly,
I mean, whether that could be a metaphor, couldn't it, for Kojima being strong-armed into appeasing MGS fans, and he feels like they're putting him back in his box, his MGS box.
Yeah, I like it. And then obviously...
It could add up with that.
And obviously we see that the Fragile Express handled with love. We know all about that from the previous game. And that's it. Death Stranding Director's Cut. So, a lot to take away from that. But also, I guess it wouldn't be a classic Kojima trailer without leaving more questions than answers. Like, what is the director's cut going to entail? Is it going to be a lot more to the game? Is it going to be a bit more? I mean, it's obvious it's going to have a buff in terms of graphics and frame rates. I think that's a given on the PS5. But where more outside of that, I don't know. I wonder whether we're going to see almost, and I'm sort of theorising here, we're going to see shrine-like, so think Breath of the Wild, shrine-like stealth areas which are linked to certain buildings you can go to on the map, say the distribution centres, there's areas there, and then within there's areas that have been taken over by these people, and there's like a stealth espionage game hidden within the game where you have to infiltrate and do what you need to do in each thing. There's almost like a mini game within the big game.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be spliced like that. But then again, I wouldn't, I'd still love it if it was almost like a standalone part of the game. Like one big mission almost. But I think it would make more sense, wouldn't it, if it had become a key strand of the gameplay that you revisit time and time again, just to, again, give you that variety.
Absolutely. Because let's face it, that was the thing that people had main qualms with, because everybody said it was a walking simulator. I mean, I got a lot out of this game. I really enjoyed it. But a lot of people said, there wasn't much to do other than walking around and delivering parcels. So if there has been an additional, as you said, strand to the game been put in there, then I think that will really maybe move the game forward into a different way.
Yeah, arguably the closest you got to an MGS-like experience was whenever you came into combat and contact with the mules.
Yes.
That's as close as it got, and it never really went far enough to be comparable to MGS, I don't think.
Agreed.
Because a lot of the spaces were wide open, weren't they? And you didn't get that sort of hemmed-in feel. But this is feels like a direct response to that, and now I've said that with the box, I feel like that's the perfect metaphor. But Kojima's basically been told by PlayStation Studios, get back in your box, do what you know, do what you do well, or maybe at least there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek with that there. But Kojima's having to make a concession because he wants to give gamers and fans something to enjoy in this difficult time. So either way, my friend, I'm very excited about it, and hopefully it'll give Death Stranding a new lease of life on the PS5.
Definitely, and I think I'm not going to say it's going to be a must-buy for me, but I think it's probably going to be a game I will buy again because I really loved the first one. And if they're going to add something new that maybe changes it up a little bit, add some new dimension to it, then I'll be all for that.
The big question would be, my friend, will IGN give it, a 6 out of 10 again?
Well, this is it. Well, there we go. A little breakdown of the latest Death Stranding Director's Cut trailer. We hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, as always, drop us a like on the video. It really does help us. And if you're new here and you've just tuned in, check out all our other Death Stranding content from, 2 years ago. And and subscribe if you've liked what you've seen. We hope you've enjoyed it. And I think that's all we've got time for. Another one for the archives.
Keep on keeping on. Stamped and completed.